What's up, y'all?
What's up?
What's up, y'all? My name is Bree.
I am Josh.
Yes, and welcome to today. So, we are talking about how do we compromise. That's the hot take for today.
That's what we're talking about today?
Yes.
How do we compromise? How do you feel about that subject?
I feel a little iffy, only because I don't know if we know how to compromise all the time. I think it's something that we still trying to figure out.
Yeah, I think with this topic, I think we were just kind of back and forth on like, okay, what do we have to say about it? I think what you were trying to say is, I think what I'm trying to say, I think what I gathered is that we haven't had too many major things where it's just like we had to compromise on. We pretty much been in step, and we just realized that, hey, in this stage of our relationship, there's still things are just, a lot of things are new, and yeah, it's just, there's not these major things where it's just like we have to compromise on, but we did realize that there are these subtle things that we compromise on kind of daily, and I think that's what we're going to talk about today, right?
Yes, that's what we'll talk about today. So we might as well start for the story. Something that I've noticed about just our relationship in general is that Josh he's a talker. He likes to talk.
I do.
And I realize I am always on the receiving of that, and I like to listen. So an incident that happened with us is that we were watching a movie one day, or it might have been a TV show. I think we were watching that show, Manifest, if anybody's seen it. We were watching that show, and something happened in the show, and Josh just paused the TV, and he wanted to talk about the show. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's talk about this scene that we just witnessed together. But then Josh started talking about his whole life and all these things in his life. So to make the long story super short is that Josh was talking for a while.
I was.
He was talking for quite a while, and I was like, okay. And, first I started with some head nods, like, yes, I make two good points. And after that, I'm silent. I just listen.
Yes.
Yes. And so for me, I realized that is my compromise with Josh, is that I will not interrupt him. I'll say one or two things, but I'm going to let him talk the whole time.
Yes.
And then I'll give my statements, my thoughts. I really don't. Most times I don't have many thoughts after you finish talking.
You don't.
Well, yeah. So that's what I realized, that I have to compromise with Josh and just let him get his feelings out. And then, I'll add my 2 cents at the end.
Yeah.
Because if I add my 2 cents in the middle, then he'll go off track again.
I do. Listen, I have no shame in me. I like to explain things. I don't think that there is no such thing as
over-explaining
or overthinking. It's just thinking, or it's just explaining. You can't overdo any of that.
Right. And I feel like I can talk along with you, but I think you just out-talk me. I think he be out-talking me, and I'm like, I have had enough. My face turns a different way when he knows I have had enough.
Yeah, no, I think I've gotten to the point. I think Bree, we've gotten to the point in our relationship where it's just like, I know when Bree is just looking at me and just giving me the are you done yet? Because I don't care, but I love you, so like I'm gonna give you a few more head nods, and then sometimes she'll outright just be like,
I'm done. I am done. I said, can we talk about it later? We need to come back.
That's what happens.
Cause I think you just be with so much energy all the time.
I do.
And
the Lord made me.
That was one incident, but I wish y'all could see when I come home from work.
I'll be ready to go. But yeah, so yes. I think that's what it is. I think we've seen like within the course of our relationship, there's been a lot of many things where it's just like we had to compromise on. I think
yes.
For me, I think one experience for me with Bree that I love so much is I think we're sitting on the couch when you could tell a lot of our stories start from the couch. We do a lot from the couch.
I mean, a lot of stuff from the couch.
What else?
We watch movies.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
eat food. And ice cream.
But yeah, so we are on the couch and we're just hanging. And then Bree loves to do this. Bree, I'm on my side of the couch. Bree's on her side of the couch. And then I just hear, Joshua. I'm like, yes, Brianna. Do you want to go get ice cream?
I love ice cream.
You do love ice cream.
I love it so much.
So,
And watch what he tell y'all.
in the beginning, a lot of times I'd just be like, no, I don't need to. Like, I'm okay.
He's shutting me down.
But do you need to go get ice cream? Then she'd be like, no, I don't need it. I don't need it.
I like the joys of having ice cream together.
But let me get to the point. That was my point. Let me get there.
Okay.
So after a while, I realized this. Okay, if Bree asks to go get ice cream and I say no,
I'm not going.
She's not gonna go.
I'm not going.
So I'm not big on ice cream. I really don't typically just cold things. Or I'm just not that big on it. But I realized it came to a point where I realized okay, I'm gonna have to start just saying yes, even though I don't want to go.
Be in the line.
But I know Bree is super excited about this, and this makes her happy. So I'm gonna have to start saying yes to this. So
Listen,
have you seen that change?
Yes, I've seen it change. But let me tell y'all, is that if you ask any of my close friends, family members, I love to get ice cream. Okay, me and Amani Pants, we get ice cream. I get ice cream with other people. In college, me and my roommate Bree used to go to Walmart at 11 o'clock at night just to get ice cream.
Yeah.
And it was a social gathering.
So I realized that it had to be a social gathering.
Listen,
in
but you
this
know
household.
what? You know what I always realize? Now I realize you don't even have to get ice cream with me. You just sit in the car while I get the ice cream, and I'm gonna eat it on the way home, and then we're just gonna talk about it. So
yes. So I
love ice cream.
I think this is what we realize about compromise as we kind of think through it. Is that compromise is kind of in our day-to-day. Compromise is kind of just embedded in relating with one another, and relating in relationship, and relating in friendships. It's compromise kind of just exists everywhere. And I think that as we think through how we compromise, I think we're still figuring out what we do.
Yes.
But I think some few practical things to think about when compromising. What's that?
Yeah, no, I think one thing that I've just realized personally, and we kind of have together, is that compromise is a lifetime thing, especially for us just starting out in our marriage. We realize we got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And so compromise is something that we'll always have to do. And also realizing that it's not about one specific person. And so sometimes when Josh don't want to get ice cream, when he say no, I'm like, fine, I don't need my ice cream. I can get it by myself. And so, yeah, basically that it's a lifetime thing. We have to pick and choose when we compromise what that looks like. And yeah, just realize that we'll continue to grow in it as we learn when best to compromise.
What do you think some of the things, when we say it's a lifetime thing, what do you think looking forward are some of the things we may have to compromise on?
Yeah, I think well, right now we're in an apartment. I think when it comes to getting a house one day, that's something we might have to compromise, what we want. I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think even with the apartment, we compromised with. We
had to.
Because I was like, yeah, let's just be in we could be in a 1-bedroom. Let's find the cheapest 1-bedroom.
Not this girl.
And we could stay. And Bree had her preferences. She had her other preferences.
If we wanted to make this thing work, we needed 2 bedrooms to start off. Because listen, the struggle. And I also liked where I was living.
Yeah.
And so that was a compromise. But I think honestly anywhere we lived was better than the drive you had to do.
Yeah. So I think even, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, apartment or just living space, I think whenever, we have kids, that'll be a lot of compromise, trying to figure out how to raise them. And I think just anything.
Because I think, believe it or not, when two individuals come together,
independent individuals.
When two individuals come together to get married, I think a lot of times what we forget is that they still have their own preferences.
Yeah.
And we have to find a way to kind of mold that and come together. So it's just like there are things where it's just like Brie and we don't necessarily agree on. And that's where we feel like compromise kind of comes into play. So I like what you said. Compromise is a lifetime thing.
Yep.
I think the something else that we can kind of be thinking about is that you have to be aware of the other person's preferences. Mm-hmm. You got to be aware of the. Why you say it with all that sauce?
Because I already in my mind knew what I was gonna say next. I knew what I was gonna say.
What you gonna say?
I was gonna talk about your love of pizza.
Yes, so we have to be.
It's a preference.
Go ahead, you on a roll. Go ahead.
No, I was just listen. When I met Joshua, he likes a lot of foods, and pizza tends to be one of them.
It is.
I have not eaten so much pizza in my life, but let me tell you, we've been eating pizza a lot.
We have.
Fridays typically is the night for pizzas because Fridays is his night to plan for what we gonna eat. And that's all I was gonna say is I don't care too much for pizza, but I guess I like it now because I gotta eat it so often.
And she don't even. It's not. I think it's less that you like it. It's more that you support me.
Yes. I support his habits.
You support me. And I think, I think that's what it is. It's being aware of other people's preferences. So it's like, I think with Brie, it's something I had to, there are things that are just like overt and you'll kind of know like, oh, this is what this person likes. But then there are things that are like more subtle, where it's just like, you're just going to have to kind of observe and kind of see like, hey, like they might not outrightly.
What's subtle? Give us an example of a subtle thing that you've observed.
I think with you, I think the ice cream thing was something subtle because I think we never had a full blown conversation about it. It was something that I had to just be like, okay, Brie not gonna tell me. She's not gonna tell me, so I'm just gonna pick it up a little bit.
I love ice cream.
I think even kind of like we talked about, like I think you sometimes like to veg out and just we like to just hang on the couch. And I think we talked about it, so it probably wasn't as subtle. But me being a person that's just like, I feel like if I'm not doing something, I'm wasting my time. But then being like realizing like, hey, I'm not wasting my time here. I'm actually spending time with Brie in the way that she needs to rest, in the way that she needs to recover. So it's just like, and we're bonding and just growing like through relationships. So it's just like, okay, you know what? There's 200 other things I can think of that I can do now, but like, you know what? I'm just gonna sit in this moment and kind of just hang. So just being aware of preferences. You can't compromise if you don't know the preference of somebody else. Like, it's not a compromise.
All right. That was a good point. Yeah, and I think the last thing that we would just encourage people is just to start with small things when it comes to compromising. I think for us, I think the pizza was kind of a small compromise just because I knew we had to eat. But we had made out a theme of, the day of the week and how that looked. And so I felt like that was something small.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something else that was small. I could also say just like when I go to the grocery store, preferences on what Josh prefers and what I prefer. So I'll compromise by getting him the little things that he likes, but still making sure that like I just don't go to the store without thinking about him.
Yeah. No, I think you do a good job with that. And I think oftentimes, we think, how do we look at compromise in these extremes. So a lot of times the conversation I feel like of compromise comes up when there's a big decision to be made. And I think how you made and compromise on those small decisions is a direct reflection of how you're going to handle that bigger situation. So it's not about waiting for, when we decide what we want to do at house, or when we decide like waiting for the bigger things to figure out how to compromise. If you're having issues, what I've observed is if you're having issues compromising, it probably starts, you probably aren't compromising well with the smaller things also. So I think just kind of starting small and seeing and talking through those things are kind of helpful to kind of think through how to start recognizing other people's preferences and picking and choosing your battles. Right.
Yeah, and I think this can just be said for not just relationships but friendships. I think when it comes to compromising, some of it could be like pride a little bit too.
Yeah.
People have just preferences of how they run their lives and the things that they do, and so maybe people don't compromise as well because it's just a pride issue. They've done something a certain way. A lot of it could be the way you were raised, your environment, but it could just be other things too that cause you to not be willing to compromise so easily.
Yeah, and I think if you find yourself on something or on a topic where it's just like you don't want to move or budge on this stance, that's probably a value that you have. I think this is a whole other conversation, but like I think there are values that are built into our lives of how we want to live things. So there are some things where it's just like, hey, no, I'm going to die on this. I rather not have you in my life. This is my standard. This is kind of what I'm gonna go. So I think there are values. I think in the context of marriage, though, I think you kind of sacrifice that. That's part of in getting married is you're supposed to. Yes, I think
lay down your
I
life.
think there's a level of that. But if you're pre that and in other relationship, it's just like realize if you're having a tough time. Compromising with somebody that is probably violating one of your values. Yeah.
That was a good point. And also just like we kind of iterated at the beginning is that we just got married not long ago, almost 7 months. So we still have a lifetime to learn. But this is just what we kind of have observed and learned for right now in this season of our lives.
Yeah. Speaking to relating and just relating in relationships. Yeah, I think that's it.
Just like Josh might also compromise on a dog.
So you put that on camera so
people know for future.
Or maybe you compromise on not having a dog. Huh. You see how that worked?
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode.
Yes, thank y'all.
Yes.
We'll see you again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.